I guess at one point
Yeah.
there were some comments that you made on MySpace that
Yeah.
upset a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where it's kind of like I was young, I was very naive, I was ignorant, wasn't used to different cultures, and 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 I don't want to really repeat what I said, but it's kind of like I was young and dumb at the time, you know how people just say things like, "Oh man, like what is it? If you don't really know somebody, but you just kind of dislike." What they're wearing. I hate that dude, or it's just in terms of that, but it kind of got blown out of proportion, and was a unfortunate events, unfortunate string of events. But you know, I learned a lot from it, and everything kind of turned out good for me. So I'm very blessed, and I thank God for that.
Right. Well, I guess you had said Korea is gay. I hate Koreans. Korea's whack. That type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's what the type of stuff I said on MySpace. Uh,
Right. And was it a really huge backlash over that thing?
Yeah, it was. But it's kind of like if they're thinking that I have no Korean pride and that type of stuff. So of course I can understand the people's perspectives. It's all about perspective. I can understand their perspectives. So
Okay. Was that what caused you to leave the group or for the group to
yeah, yeah,
separate or?
yeah, yeah. I mean, just there's just a string of just events that we departed ways, and I've talked about this like a thousand times, so it's kind of like I'm over. It was like 10 years ago, so it's kind of like me, my fans, then everybody's kind of over it, so
I feel you. Okay.
yeah.
And then you actually moved back to the U.S.
I moved back to the U.S. Yes, and then I was just in Seattle, and I worked at like a little used tire shop for a little bit just to make some extra cash just to when I go like chill with my homies and eat and whatnot.
Well, kind of explain it to me. So the group that you were in, were they like the Backstreet Boys in sync? Was it like that level?
I mean, it was getting there. It was definitely getting there. Yeah, for sure. I mean, had number one hits and whatnot. Had
Right.
we're doing endorsement deals and all that. So I mean, it was definitely one of the top groups in Korea.
So you go from being one of the top groups
Yeah,
in this country
yeah.
to moving back to the U.S. and working in a tire shop.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, it's both. I felt the same in both situations. I feel like for me that I never got really. I never strived for the money or fame or I never got attached to it either. It didn't. I feel like money and fame it doesn't make me. I make the money and fame, but it doesn't make me. So even if you strip that away, I'm still the same person. So it's kind of like I'm just doing what I need to do to what I feel is right. And I didn't feel right spending my parents' money coming back, so I kind of had to just, do what I need to do.
Well, it must have been a humbling experience. I mean, to go from that to suddenly working in a tire shop, I mean, you could say, well, it doesn't really matter, but it must have affected you somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, to be honest, I kind of felt almost a little bit more at peace, just because it's kind of like now, like everything is just kind of normal. Everything is kind of like simple. It's simple. There's not like so many factors where I have to kind of like be careful of what I say and what I do and who I talk to. It's kind of like it's very simple. So I felt almost at peace. Even more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then at one point, you ended up doing a cover song of B.o.B.'s Nothing
Nothing
on
on you.
You,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it got like 2 million views in a day.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, just because a lot of fans they're kind of like very heartbroken that I had to go back in that fashion, and I departed from the group in that fashion. So I just kind of wanted to, and at that time, a lot of YouTube covers were very big at that time. It was like a trend, and so I always wanted to do covers and stuff like that of songs that and artists that I appreciate, and so I was like, yo, it's a good way to connect with the fans. Like, I just shot it in my bathroom, and then I just kind of like put it up, and I didn't expect. To be honest, I literally expected like 10,000, 20,000 views. Got like 2 million like one day, and I was like, ooh, it's crazy.
Okay, now was 2 p.m. still a group at that point? Did they stay together after you left or
Yeah,
no?
yeah, yeah. So I mean, everything on that side is still the same. It's just me.
Oh,
I just departed. I'm the only one. Yeah.
okay. And did 2 p.m. continue to do well after you left?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay, so you put out the song, and then suddenly things started to turn around again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody's just kind of like, wow, there's still a lot of attention and interest in this kid. let's sign him. Let's hit him up for this. Let's do that. And so I started getting all these like contacts about management and labels and agencies and doing movies and so forth.
So then you move back to Korea again.
I mean, not necessarily. So basically I got offered to do this movie. I got offered to do this movie, and that at that time I had no management, nothing. I just a kid, by myself. And so they're like, yo, let's do this dance movie. Like so and so's gonna be in it. We got this, and this, and so. Yeah, I was like, yo, if my dance crew can be in it, then we'll do it. And so basically, we did it for like very little money. All the little money I got, I split with the crew, and that's what kind of brought me back to Korea. The movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you start dropping albums as a solo artist.
Yeah, and because even that, it was kind of like I didn't plan on becoming a solo artist, but it's kind of like I'm getting booked for shows and I'm only doing covers, and I'm getting paid I'm getting paid money to do. It didn't feel right, I felt like I was kind of cheating the fans and cheating the people. So then I started, kind of making music, and that's when me and Chacha Malone, someone who was in my the homie who's in my B-boy crew from high school, he turned out he does music as well. And so we started working together, and yeah, I mean it was good. It felt right. The music, I liked the music that we did. I liked the outcome that we produced, and yeah, so.
Okay. And then the albums you started putting out started to really start to hit. You started having #1 albums, and and then all the other things started to come together.
Yeah, I mean, so at that time I had a lot of interest. I had a lot of fans. But in term and that's kind of what got me #1 on the shows and whatnot. But in terms of the general public, my music wasn't that popular with the general public because at that time, my Korean's still not that good, and I'm writing my own lyrics, so it's kind of like they can't really relate fully because they can't really. It's like, what does this kid try to say? And also, it's just like we weren't as dope as we are now back then. We were just starting out, so.
Well, I mean, I checked out some of the songs, and what's interesting is that like some songs are straight Korean. Some songs are Korean with English kind of phrases and lines thrown in, and then some songs like "Me Like Ya" is like straight English.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just for me, at first I really wanted to establish myself as a Korean artist, and really get hits in Korean, and show people that I can do this in Korean, and I have the determination and will to do it in Korea. And especially I was in a group, and then we kind of try to. I mean, to me, it just all felt natural, but to other people, you could look at it as like a crossover to hip hop or whatever. But me, I just felt like what came natural to me, what felt right to me. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of established myself in the hip hop world over there. Started a label in 2013 called AOMG. That started doing very well. And then I kind of felt like, yo, I should start doing stuff in English. I speak better English than I do Korean. My fans enjoy my English stuff. So, and then that's when I started doing stuff in English, hence the Milakia and Aquaman and whatnot. So.
Right, because I haven't been to Korea, but I've been to like Japan.
Okay.
And I mean, at the time that I went, you walk around Japan, no one really speaks English. Like you go to certain countries and everyone's, you go to like Amsterdam and everyone speaks English. But
Yeah.
you go to like Japan, nobody speaks English.
Yeah.
So in Korea, do they really speak English at all or not really?
I mean, they speak a little bit. They speak a little because it's required. It's a requirement in school. So I mean, and they can understand it and read it better than they could speak it. Actually, So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your Korean fans are actually, do they understand when you spit in English also, or is it more of just a stylistic thing?
Yeah, I mean, my fans are so kind of like, they're so dope that they kind of like translate it for each other. So if there's some English speaking fans, they'll translate it for the rest of the fans so that those fans can understand it as well.
Okay. And like when you went over there, was there, because everyone hears about the K-pop scene
Yeah.
in Korea, and which is kind of how you started off with the boy band.
Yeah.
But how is the hip hop scene in South Korea?
I mean, right now it's booming. I mean, there's, you know, so many rappers now, so many dope rappers, so many dope artists out there, a lot of dope visuals, a lot of dope events, concerts, you know, music video directors. But maybe like even like 5, 6, 7 years ago, it wasn't as popular as it was now. You know, if you're trying to get a hit on the charts, you're not gonna do a rap song. You know, but now it's like, you know, there's rappers that have #1 hits that, you know, are getting booked for, you know, all these festivals and shows, and so it's a lot better now.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me, like I've interviewed Jin a few
Okay, yeah, yeah,
times.
yeah.
And I remember, you know, he started off in the U.S. and he was signed to Rough Riders and everything. But when he went over to Hong Kong, that's when things really went bananas.
I was like Justin Bieber out there
You were like you were the Justin Bieber of
in Hong
China?
Kong. Well, an interesting thing is because China is the whole thing.
Right.
I was in Hong Kong. The city I was in Hong Kong.
Okay, but doesn't
Okay, well,
Hong Kong like the New York of
it is a big city, but the thing is, you know, we sometimes maybe we don't realize it, but geographically China is huge. So you can't even compare America to China in that sense, and even in terms of population. But so let me put it like this. You can't be, when I say I was the Justin Bieber, I meant in Hong Kong specifically.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that interview.
Oh, you saw that interview? Okay, yeah. It was a dope interview. Do you think that the fact that you were American kind of gave you a certain kind of edge in the hip hop scene out there?
I mean, it's a plus and minus, you know. It's a advantage and disadvantage because I can't speak the language as well as, you know, someone who's straight, you know, born there. So in terms of like lyricist wise, I'd always get criticized. I'd always get, you know, slack. But then since I have sort of the, you know, the American swag, I guess you could call it. You know, it's like when I'm doing my, you know, music videos or when when I'm performing and whatnot, it doesn't look forced. It doesn't look awkward. And so it's kind of like a advantage and disadvantage.